would like to report a murder. Hello, everybody. David Schuster here. Elizabeth May, Canadian Member of Parliament, leader of the Green Party, just delivered one of the most brutal takedowns of Donald Trump you will ever see. The bloodletting happened during a news conference broadcast on CPAC, Canada's version of C-SPAN in the United States.
Newsflash, Donald Trump, we are not aspiring to be a 51st state. We are already a sovereign country. We are a nation. And anytime anyone looks around the world for the top 10 places to live, Canada's in the top half of the top 10, always. The United States? Never. Even the U.S. News and World Report, which puts together such a list, looks at things like affordability, access to health care, safe streets. Where do you want to live? Canada.
May was just getting started. She brought up Donald Trump's recent social media post where he wrote, "Oh, Canada," with this AI-generated triumphant photo.
No matter how many Trump photos of him in business suits striding a Swiss mountain he posts with a Canadian flag, we're not intimidated.
Yes, that is the Matterhorn in Switzerland.
People who know Trump in business deals say this is his tactic before negotiation. Humiliation, business approach. Okay, so I take offense. We do not strive to be the 51st state. We're a G7 country. We are part of the world as an independent, sovereign nation. Comme Canada, nous sommes déjà nation, nation fière.
When May went back to English, she addressed Trump's recent suggestions about who in Canada should try to become the next Canadian Prime Minister.
I have so many great friends. One of them is the great one, Wayne Gretzky. I said, run for Prime Minister, you'll win it'll take 2 seconds.
Wayne Gretzky? I mean, he's great. He is the great one. He skates to where the puck is going. It's not going to MAGA. The puck is on a Canadian ice rink. And by the way, Mr. Trump, please, before making public pronouncements that Wayne Gretzky should run for Prime Minister, give yourself or get yourself a briefing on the nature of parliamentary democracy, a Westminster parliamentary system, and a constitutional monarchy where no one runs for Prime Minister. We have elections for members of parliament. We don't get to pick and choose among our billionaire friends for who gets a seat at the cabinet table. If they're not an elected member of parliament, well, Canadian system is different from that of the United States of America. I suggest that Mr. Trump find one of his grandchildren's school books and look at the year 1776, which may explain a few things to him about why our systems of government are different.
Ouch. May then delivered her coup de grace. That French phrase means death blow to end the suffering of a severely wounded person or animal. May twisted the knife by turning the tables on Trump's idea of territorial expansion and annexation. Watch.
Hey, Donald, have we got a deal for you? You think we want to be the 51st state? Nah, but maybe California would like to be the 11th province. How about it? California? Oregon? Washington? You've got geography in common with us. And not only that, we've already got a carbon trading system between California and Quebec. We've got some strong alliances on our west coast from British Columbia. There's been a lot of academic papers on the idea of Cascadia. So California, Governor Newsom, and Washington State, Jay Inslee, and newly elected Governor of Oregon, Tina Kotek. How about it? Want to put a referendum to your citizens? Because this is what you deal. Have we got a deal for you? This is what you get. Free health care. Universal free health care. No more one-year-olds who suddenly fall off the Medicaid list and their parents are in the news because they're trying to do a GoFundMe so they can get their daughter to a doctor.
Yes, that story has been in the news in the United States.
Universal free health care. And guess what? Those gun laws that your Congress is too afraid to pass because of the national gun lobby, we already got our strict gun laws. That's why we have the safest streets around the world, or at least in the United States, by the way, the most recent stats, 5.9 out of every 100,000 people is killed in a fatal gun incident versus 0.88 per 100,000 in Canada. That's because we have strict gun laws. California citizens, Oregon, Washington, safer streets. Here we already have good gun laws, and women have a right to an abortion under our universal health care system. But, we don't have to stop there. Donald, think about it. You could get rid of all these states that always vote Democrat. You know what else will take Bernie Sanders off your hands? Proud new Canadian citizen of the great province of Vermont. Vermont, New Hampshire, Maine. We'd love to see you. Our maritime provinces already have deep, deep links and ties. Well, enough kidding around. But honestly, President Trump, get used to it. Canada is a sovereign nation full of, guess what, proud Canadians. We're not jingoistic. We don't boast a lot. That's one of the things we kind of have in common with Jimmy Carter. We're not a big nation for braggarts and bullies. We actually like to think we're of service in the world. We could do better. We can always do better. But we love our country. And it's a country. It's a nation. And we do not aspire to be a 51st state. So let's not hear that anymore. If it was a joke, it was never funny. And it ends now.
Elizabeth May. She represents a federal electoral district in British Columbia, Canada. Clearly, she is not somebody to be messed with. For the record, a polling company recently asked Canadian citizens about being part of the United States. 85% responded they were against that idea. 5% were not sure, and 12% supported being part of the United States. I have a feeling that more Americans than 12% would want their state to be part of Canada. And in blue states, where there's more in common with Canadian provinces than with southern red states, the percentage would be even higher. So maybe MAGA World and Donald Trump should take Elizabeth May's advice. Let's not have this discussion anymore. Stop the trolling and stop tempting many of us who wish our communities in the United States were as safe, smart, and enlightened as those in Canada. By the way, Dementia Don continues to trend in the wake of Trump's bizarro news conference the other day.
He wants everybody to have an electric heater instead of a gas heater. Gas heater is much less expensive. The heat is much better. It's a much better heat. As the expression goes, you don't itch. Does anybody have a heater where you go and you're scratching? That's what they want you to have. They don't want you to have gas where you don't have the problems of the electric.
Check out that video at the link below. It generated a lot of comments on YouTube. One of the most popular is from KPAD, who wrote, "Trump is a nut job, totally clueless, a national disgrace." I hear you. I look forward to reading your comments about Canadian Member of Parliament Elizabeth May, who just annihilated Donald Trump in epic fashion on camera. I'm David Schuster. Thanks for joining us.
For many Americans, specifically Trump supporters, socialism is the worst thing that they can imagine. But imperialism, apparently they're totally fine with it. Don Jr., along with Charlie Kirk, of all people, recently took a trip to Greenland as part of a PR move to show Americans that Greenlanders really love the United States, so much so that they want to be a part of it.
It needs security for itself, but it also needs security very much for the world. The location really, you see the people and the ships sailing around, and they're not the right ships, and they're not the ships you want to know about. So we need security, and our country needs it, and the whole world needs it.
Yes.
You're so strategically located.
Yeah.
So it's really imperative.
You're right.
You guys like that, right?
Pictures from the trip showed Greenlanders smiling with the pair, sporting red MAGA hats. Why would they have those red MAGA hats in the first place? That is a great question. Here's a post from Ron Filipkowski on X showing Don Jr. posing with MAGA Greenlanders holding an American flag. According to Danish reporting, many of the people wearing MAGA hats in Don Jr. and Charlie Kirk's Greenland videos were homeless rounded up from the area, including one man they found under a bridge to come into the restaurant for a photo op and a free meal. Others have confirmed that the visit and the photos that emerged from it were staged, including a Greenlandic MP, Pipaluk Ling. She mentioned that locals were flipping off Junior and Kirk and that they were posting messages on social media saying, "Yankee, go home." She also said no journalists were allowed to interview him. It was all staged to make it seem like we, the Greenlandic people, were MAGA and loved to be a part of the USA. Local media also confirmed that those crisp red MAGA hats were distributed to people prior to the photo shoot. Kirk left that part out when he claimed that he and the president-elect's son were met by hundreds of people in MAGA hats in the streets of Nuuk, people that love America, that want to be a part of America. But Ling says that Greenlanders are hardly interested in becoming a part of the United States. She told Politico, "We know how they treat the Inuit in Alaska. Make that great before trying to invade us." I can't imagine what it must be like for Greenlanders to see two American white dudes, particularly these two American dudes, trying to actively colonize them in 2025. And Ling was right to bring up the way the Americans have treated the indigenous peoples of the lands that they've conquered in the past. To this day, the Native American population in our country, what's left of them, are underrepresented in government. They've been relegated to reservations that keep getting smaller and smaller in size over the years. They have less economic and political opportunity than most, and they have rampant health concerns that are more pronounced within their communities than others. The Native Alaskans of today have some of the highest rates of alcoholism and diabetes in the country. Similar statements can be made about the natives of both Hawaii and Guam. And make no mistake, Trump's interest in Greenland is no different from the colonizers of centuries past interests in places like India, Southeast Asia, and China, the Caribbean, all of the Americas, and all of Africa. And imperialism never went away over the years. Many European countries still have holdings abroad. The US certainly does, not to mention we stick a military base anywhere we're able. But aside from that, we are capitalists, aren't we? Capitalism is very imperialistic in the sense that it encourages the acquisition of properties in order to acquire the assets that come with those properties. Entrepreneurship 101. The initial goal is to build and run a business, yes, but the bigger and more aspirational goal is to build up a business just enough that a bigger business acquires it. You sell your business so you make money from the sale, but the bigger business that acquired you no longer has to worry about any competitive threats that your business may have posed. They'll get to acquire a fully developed and functioning infrastructure, and they'll get to profit from economies of scale. Once the acquisition happens, though, you are out of the picture. You have no further say in the mission of the business, let alone the legacy of it. You have no control over how the workers are treated. If you're lucky, they keep you on as a board member or something like that, but often it's just an ornamental position. The ones doing the acquiring, though, those are the real kings of capital. They're the real winners of this insane system that only ever values or recognizes upward movement, bigger and better. So these companies just acquire and acquire company after company, gobbling up competitors, eliminating laissez-faire checks and balances that would otherwise be imposed on their business. Now they use their immense wealth to purchase political influence within governments, and the governments support whatever these companies want because business is business and business is good, the bigger the better. Imperialism is the exact same thing, but just with physical land. Nations are acquired instead of small businesses. Entire cultures are swallowed up within the empire. Natural resources are exploited to serve the empire, the profits of which are hardly given back to the land that they came from. The people, who may have once benefited from a smaller governing zone, become overlooked by an empire that doesn't have the time, energy, or interest to take care of them. The people don't matter. The people weren't the motive. The people only matter as much as they can help to extract whatever resource the empire was actually after. Trump has never said why he wanted to acquire Greenland, but there are two leading theories. The first is that he wants the abundance of natural resources that lie beneath Greenland's ice sheet. Most likely, he wants it because Elon Musk wants it. The other theory is that he's working in cahoots with Russia, and Russia wants Greenland so that they can have easier access to Western Europe. But while Trump has never said why he wants what he wants, he has said that he wants it badly enough that he's willing to go to war with our historic and peaceful allies over it. This is a ridiculous scenario we're seeing play out, but it's not unusual. And the people doing it look exactly like the people who did it around the rest of the world. All right, that's it for me. If you got anything out of this, please like the video and subscribe to the channel for more. Thanks.